All right. Welcome, everyone, to the First Generation Student Success Podcast. Today, we have another phenomenal guest that is going to share with us what she does in her profession and how she serves first generation students. And hopefully, there'll be some big takeaways from you so that you can continue to show up in a big way for your students and help them to succeed. So, today, we have Dr. Troy, who is the program director for the First Generation Student Support Program at Virginia Tech. Woo, woo, Virginia Tech. So welcome, Dr. Troy. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and we are excited that you are with us. So we're going to jump right in, Dr. Troy. First, can you tell us more about what you do in your position as director of the First Generation Student Support Program?
So, the main thing that I do is that I advocate for and support our first gen students at Virginia Tech. Some of the things that includes is building certain programming that will support students and also collaborating with other campus partners to bring that support for first gen students as well.
Awesome. And how long has the program been at Virginia Tech?
So I am the inaugural director. The program just started in August of 2019. So it will be 1 year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so did the program start based off of a need that was seen on your campus?
Yes, it was. And actually, a very interesting story. So I met someone about 2 years ago. I think it was 2018. I met her at the First Gen Institute that they hold in South Carolina. And I met her back then, and she was telling me she was from Virginia Tech and that they did not have a First Gen program. They only had at that time a student organization called 1G at VT. So that was the only really First Gen student support program, if you will, that they had at the time. So fast forward to 2019, and the announcement goes up for the position, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they got something going. So
Awesome.
yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna apply.
Yeah, you knew you in your heart you knew that this was it for you.
Yes, this
Awesome.
is it.
Love it, love it. And so how did you originally start working with and serving students?
Wow. So interesting enough, I started a program back at Georgia Gwinnett College. I used to work at Georgia Gwinnett College as an academic advisor. And at that time, that was around, I think about 2017, when I went to my supervisor and I said to her, I would really love to start a learning community for first generation students here at Georgia Gwinnett College. And she says, that sounds like a great idea. Go ahead, draw up the proposal, and let's see where it goes. So she pushed it up through management. They liked the idea. So I brought that learning community on, and that learning community consisted of the component of a first year seminar where all the first gen students, I taught them about student success skills and things like that in that FYS course. And then also built in that FYS course was a service learning component, because I wanted to make sure that they learned about service and doing service.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would do our reflection piece was a symposium that we would hold. So students would get to reflect on their experience doing that service learning project. So it did really well. And so they started to grow the program more. They added more sections of the FYS course. And so it grew to about between 70 and 100 students.
Wow.
We had about maybe 4 or 5 sections when I left GGC of that. And then I also added a peer mentoring program to complement that learning community as well at GGC. So yeah, so when I left GGC last year, everything was still up and running. And interested enough, my learning community started at the same time some other learning communities that they had launched at the same time as mine.
Okay.
Mine is the only original one that's still around.
Wow.
So
And
that
still
says a lot.
around and still needed.
Still around, still needed. My colleagues are, it's in good hands. My colleagues are running it now. It continues to grow, you
And
know.
that sounds like it was the foundation for what you're able to do now. Like you got the
Exactly.
practice and you brought that knowledge with you at Virginia Tech.
Exactly.
Awesome. And so, can you share with our viewers what are some best practices you have found that work really well when it comes to working with first gen students?
I would say authenticity, being your authentic self, because the students are not going to connect to you if you're not authentic. And they're not going to feel comfortable talking to you if you're not authentic.
Mm,
So just engaging them and listening to them and giving them that space for them to talk to you and to tell you about any issues that they have going on or any successes where you can cheer them on about their successes, or if they come to you for advice, uh, you receiving them, and
right.
not being too busy for them. Yeah. So
Definitely.
when
So,
they see that you're relatable and laid back, then they're more willing to talk to you.
love it. So, being relatable, being authentic,
Mm-hmm.
showing them that, you have imperfections too, but there's a process to success.
Exactly. And a lot of times I tell them my story as a first gen student when I was in undergrad and some of the things that I ran into myself.
All
Just
right.
so
So,
they'll know that, you too could be a doctor. You see where I am? See where I started at?
love it. So, you
Yeah.
are a role model and a representative of what they can be if they
Right.
just put their minds to it.
Right.
Love it. And so, my next question is, with everything that's kind of going on right now, is there anything that's keeping you up at night when it comes to your students and we're getting ready to roll back into the fall? What are your feelings and thoughts right now?
I would say my concern mostly is COVID-19 at this time, of course, and I'm sure that's the issue for a lot of families and students. Their mental health at this period in time has been a big concern for me, and making sure that students are, it's a lot to take in. Loved ones are passing away. Their finances are being impacted, both for themselves and their families. And they're also having to, you know, sometimes be more than just a student. They have to put on that hat and go help the family, be a provider
Right.
for their family, because situations where families are losing their jobs and their students have to go and work. So that all to me can really impact students mentally because it's a lot to put on your shoulders. So that's what I think about mostly when I think about my students. And, I wonder how they're going to feel when they do transition back to campus this fall and having to leave their families, and what if their families are not in good situations. So they're still going to take that stress with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand them having those concerns, leaving their families behind at this point in time.
Absolutely. And it is, it's hard to kind of get them engaged and focus on their
Right.
education when they're,
I got,
carrying all of these thoughts and what ifs.
yes,
So, but
I
I'm
got
pretty
that going
sure
on
you
at home.
guys, yeah, yeah. I know you're going to do a phenomenal job to serve your students as best as you can so we can keep them down the right path.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
my next question is, and which I should have asked already, somebody told me, and I can't tell you who told me this, but somebody told me that your first gen program is the bomb diggity,
Uh-oh.
like there's no other. So can you please explain why this person would tell me such a thing like this?
No. Well, I thank that person for that kind comment about my program. Um, wow, why would they say that? Wow. I really try to keep things very innovative. I love innovation. I love new ideas. I love new approaches in supporting first gen students. So, and I like to do things that other people have not done. So, we have a mental health support group for first gen students at Tech.
Wow.
Yeah, that I started. I did that in collaboration with Cook Counseling. So I really like to collaborate a lot. So we either someone comes to me or I come to them with an idea, and we make it happen. So, we've had some great things that we've done in the past year, and especially having to shift some of these things online this past spring. But we've had some great things happen at Tech over the first year. We got some great things going on that's coming up. We're going to be launching a first gen living learning community next fall.
Nice.
And so that thing is going to be action packed.
I love it. I love it.
We got some great things in the pipeline. I'm working on a faculty development program specifically for first gen students and teaching faculty and staff how to support first gen students too.
Super important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
love it. So, okay, now I understand. Now I understand why that person said what they said, because Dr. Troy is being innovative. She's not just doing the bare minimum. She's trying things, collaborating, because she wants the best for her students. Awesome,
yes.
awesome.
And we have a podcast too, a first gen podcast.
Love it.
A lot of people were excited about that too. So
awesome, awesome. Doing it for the students. Love it. All right, so my next question is, Dr. Troy, what would you say your students love about you the best, like about you the best? If I was gonna interview a couple of the students that have interacted with you, like what would they say about Dr. Troy?
That she's down to earth and relatable. I have a peer mentoring program that's launching this fall. And when we were doing our introductions in the spring, I asked the students the question about, tell me one thing that we would not know about you, just to give someone opportunity to share things that we may not know about each other. And I decided to play the game too. And so the thing that I share with my students is that I am a huge fan of hip hop, love hip hop, grew up on hip hop. And my students said they would have never saw that in me. And they just screamed and yelled, especially the guys. And so we started to kind of go back and forth about who was the best and talking about, my era of hip hop and their era of hip hop. So they love that.
I love it. Like one little thing that just brought everybody together. Like,
yes.
Dr. Troy loves hip hop. Word.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's awesome. And so, Dr. Troy, as we come down to the end of this interview, I just want to ask you, for those people who watch this, what is just some words of wisdom that you can give to them as we get ready to end our time together?
I would say to make sure that you live. We are not promised tomorrow, especially with everything that's going on. So make sure that you live your best life, stay authentic in doing so, and support others while you are living authentically. Because again, tomorrow's not promised. With everything that we have going on in this world, you just don't know. So
yeah,
just live.
Love it. And I agree with that totally. I like the saying where they're like, shoot your shot. So shoot all the shots that you got, because this is one life you get to live. But like you say, support others along the journey, do it with a good heart, and what you put out into the world, you will get back. So
exactly.
Dr. Troy, thank you for blessing us with your grace and your time and your knowledge and all of the awesome things you're doing at Virginia Tech with your first generation population. And you just have an amazing day, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.